communists look propagandized. Do you know what I mean? You know how if you look at somebody, you know that they're a communist? And I like the word communist. I don't want to give them the little nice names that they like to call themselves. I'm a socialist. They're not socialists, they're communists. Socialists often believe in people above profits. We're going to do what is for the common good. I mean, some would say Hitler was a socialist. Kinda. Not. I mean, I suppose corporatism is kind of socialist. They're thinking, I'm not going to go into that, but it's kind of like we're going to make the employers work with the employees, and all of that works to do with the state. And Hitler and Mussolini's their philosophy was that everything is part of the nation, sort of philosophically. The individual doesn't really exist, at least in terms of the masses. A lot of politically orientated people like myself might be prone to become individualistic because we think of ourselves and, oh, well, we're kind of different. But if you're talking about politics, it is about how you impose your views or your vision onto the world. Now, I may see myself as an individual because I am quite, like most philosophically minded, politically orientated people, I am sort of a unique individual. But if we look at the masses, the people who, who are actually being governed by, the government, it's not us. There's 99% of the population aren't really these individuals like ourselves. And so therefore, what might seem to work for us, a kind of individualist governmental system, governmental structure, doesn't actually work over the whole of the nation. So if you look at fascist leaders, their view of the individual is that we're all sort of part of one spiritual body. And that's what sort of is seen as socialist by some people, because we're all together, and that includes the state, the corporations, and the individuals. So socialists, that's not what these people are. They're not socialists. They are communists. Communism is about stripping everything away. They don't like hierarchies. Let's flatten the hierarchy. Let's get rid of money. Let's get rid of the state even eventually. Let's get rid of the authorities, the police. We're going to get rid of everything. There's moneyless, stateless, valueless. Everything's moral relativism. And that's their idea of a good society. And obviously, we already know the people who don't like strict hierarchies in society, it's the people that are at the bottom of the hierarchies, and it's quite simple. It's funny. This video I saw on TikTok that I was trying to talk about. It was a sort of, I unfortunately don't know a Venn diagram. It's a Venn diagram. One I remember Kamala Harris talking about them during the presidential bid, and it was like inferiority complex on one circle, small penis, and no brain, being an idiot. So and then small, no brain and inferiority was racism. Small penis and no brain was sexism, like misogyny, and inferiority complex and a small penis led to, I don't know that one actually. And they all met in the middle, fascism. And I was thinking, inferiority complex fascists. That's just not true, because fascism, if you look at it with an intelligent, with a semi-intelligent mind, is actually pro-hierarchy. And why would someone who is inferior or thought of themselves as inferior want a strong hierarchy? They don't benefit from that. And because if you look at fascism, it's the I think if fascism was properly implemented, it wouldn't really leave the very bottom of the hierarchy worse off necessarily, but that is certainly how it's viewed in society, and that's certainly how it would have seemed to go out in practice, because not only is a hierarchy the social or economic hierarchy in most fascist states, fascist Italy, Nazi Germany, it was a racial hierarchy as well. So hierarchies, fascism, it was bad for the weak the inferior and the minorities. So in Nazi Germany, the unemployed, the Jews, and some other group. And that, so if you had an inferiority complex, you wouldn't want fascism, right? Communists are the one with the inferiority complex. Anyone, and this is why communism isn't popular, right? I was talking to a friend, and he was in like the town centre, and he saw one of these communists. They're handing out, I don't know, little stalls of communists, YCL, the Young Communist League, or something like that, or Trade Union and Socialist Party, and they were there, openly communist. Hello, we're communists, and are giving out pamphlets and flyers. And he was like, ugh. Like he says he was like kind of disgusted by it. Oh, it looked weird, yeah. And it's like, anybody who's been through the school system knows what communists look like. We know these transgender individuals, these politically far left individuals, these people who look a particular way, look propagandized, as I said. They were the kind who were quiet in school, right? They were the kind that got bullied in school. They were the kind that got weird looks, that people made little comments about, that people laughed behind their back, people that didn't really have any friends, people that suffered, you can usually tell, right? People that suffered from depression, people who used the internet as a way to escape real society, real life. They would use the internet. They'd all be in the internet, and on the internet, that's why they then you find these individuals becoming transgender. So the communists, these individuals, they're not, and this is why they can't really appeal to the masses, because they're just not the masses. I mean, they don't like the normal people. They talk about helping the workers. And it's like, I see right through you. I'm looking at these people and I'm thinking, they don't care about the workers. These workers, these people, the people that dominated them in a sense in school, they got bullied. They're not happy individuals. They don't speak or represent the masses. They don't like the masses. Hence why they don't look like the masses, right? My views, if implemented, right, and imposed within the people, would be good for the people, or at least British people, the Scottish, English, Welsh, and Irish, right? It would be good for them. And if you look at me, right, if you were to look at me, right, you wouldn't know if I vote Labour Party, could even be a Lib Dem. They're a bit more political, right? Like only really people who are interested in politics like them. You wouldn't really know if I was interested in politics, cared about politics or not. You wouldn't know if I liked Labour, or if I liked maybe even the Conservatives, or if I liked Reform. You wouldn't look at me and think, Homeland Party member, he's a You wouldn't look at my face or the way I dress and think, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist. But you can look at a left-wing person and go, oh, right, yeah. They're like a rad femme, or they're they support trans rights, and they go on pride marches. You can always tell. Because these are, and the explanation would usually be they are, it's because they were propagandized, and that is part of it. But the analysis I wanted to go into was that these individuals, because they were poor socially growing up and in school, they need to be able to identify themselves with others. Just like how in an army, you make sure you wear a certain uniform or a certain color, a certain thing, like a Nazi, like the Nazis did, or the red coats and all this stuff. That there needs to be a way to signal, oh, that's my people. Now, I don't need to signal to others, I'm one of you. I have your politics, because I can get on with normal people. I don't have any issue with speaking to totally regular, everyday people. I don't need them to know that I'm one of them. These other individuals know that like 90% of society think they're kind of weird and kind of antisocial and kind of chronically online. And so because they've struggled, and most of their friends would be online friends back when they were teenagers, the way that they then go out into the real world, because you're going to have to get a job at some point. A lot of them probably don't have jobs though, but you're going to have to go into the real world. So what do you do? Well, if you become transgender or if you start wearing horrendous outfits, if you start dressing in a way that makes it so obvious that you're a left winger, that you're a communist, then guess what? When that other communist is walking in the street, one of the few people who will actually like you, they know, oh, he's one of me. Finally, someone I can befriend. And that's why they look the way they look. Because they need to be able to identify their fellow comrade. Because 99% of the people, 99% of most people don't really like them. They think they're weird. So they need to have some sort of social interaction, right? They need to, if they blend in basically, they will never find anyone who actually likes them for them. If they wear their personality on their sleeve, then everyone likes them, knows, oh, that's me right there. That's someone who might actually tolerate my annoyance and cringiness. So that's why I think they look the way they look, and it's a good thing. I think something we should be saying on left wingers posts on TikTok or whatever should be, you look propagandized, which basically is saying you look like not a single thought that's in your mind came naturally. None of it came from your own intuition. None of it came from your own observation of the world. None of it came from, reading books or looking into history. It all just came from stuff that you saw on the internet. It came from stuff that other socially inept weirdos like yourself, you communist, believe. And that no normal people on the street believe that. They will see, for example, an example of propagandized mind, right, is video in Belgium. It was a beach, and 90% of 90% under 18s in Belgium are like foreign born or foreign ethnicity, and it's all, there's like no Belgians, there's no white. Okay, I'll just say there's no white people on the beach. There's no white Europeans on the beach, and it's crowded and it's horrible. And any normal person would be there with a family or something like that, and they'd be like, I wouldn't take my kids there. I wouldn't want to go there. Oh yeah, avoid that place. I just wouldn't enjoy being there. The propagandized mind looks at that and thinks, they're just, they're human, but nobody actually thinks that. Nobody feels that in their heart. They're human. Nobody rationally processes the genetic makeup of humans. Normal people that have not been propagandized look around and think, I don't feel at home here. I don't feel safe. I don't feel at home. It doesn't feel friendly. It feels hostile. I don't want to be here. I certainly wouldn't take my kids here. And if I was a woman, I definitely wouldn't go there. Regardless of statistics. Statistics obviously is another reason you should avoid that. But you would just instinctually have that feeling. The propagandized mind sits there and think, red blood, workers, proletariat. But no normal individual sees the world or life that way. Nobody sees it that way. So these are propagandized individuals. They don't have a single normal thought, and because of that, they will often say they don't believe in human nature all the time. They think that you can mold humans into whatever you want them to be, and partially the reason for that is because they're gullible freaks. They will believe anything. They are not intelligent beings. They have spent literally 24/7 on the internet, and they've had no interaction with the real world. So of course you communist, you commie, you freak, you disgusting animal. Of course you might believe that humans could be molded into whatever way you want to mold them because it happened to you. But to 99% of people, they don't work that way. Most people are humans. Most people think like normal people. They go outside, they talk to people, they have a job, and they'll never think like you think. So just because you're gullible doesn't mean everyone else is gullible. Just because you were nurtured into being different for whatever reason, I don't know, because you lack personality, so you have to make one up that's really loud and bold and vibrant. And then someone goes, "Oh, that's a bit cringe." You go, cringe culture. We need to destroy cringe culture." And it's like, fuck. And it's like, and that is why people are being pushed towards fascism, because you're like, wow, these people need to be shut up. These people shouldn't have a say in society. These people shouldn't vote. These people should be changed. And that's why people are turning to the right? I think that's all I have to say, anyways. So there's my musical rendition, my political rant, and my life update with the books. Thank you for watching.